What's going on, everyone? So yesterday, Shams made a report. 7-footer Christian Koloko is finalizing a return to the NBA, and the Los Angeles Lakers are frontrunners to sign him among the Raptors, the Clippers, and the Spurs. Sources tell The Athletic Koloko is awaiting clearance to play from NBA's fitness panel. However, he is eligible to sign now. So, the reason I want to talk about him is because he is linked to the Spurs. And he is definitely a project big man, right? He's a guy that is not going to just come in and, that's the missing piece for the Spurs. Now the Spurs are a real contender. No, it's nothing like that. But he's a guy that is a development big, and the Spurs are a team that they're not expected to win a championship in the next year or two, right? They're not a team that is looked at as like anything more than, at best, probably a play-in, right? This is kind of a development year anyway with Chris Paul, with adding Harrison Barnes. So bringing in a guy like a Koloko, who you could slot at times alongside Victor Wembanyama. He's a shot-blocking big that can rebound well, run the floor, right? Him and Victor Wembanyama side by side would good luck scoring around the rim. It's already incredibly difficult just with Victor by himself. Imagine if you have another big man that can block shots and protect the rim like Koloko. Again, you're not scoring inside. You better be very hot from three that night, right? And this just gives them another legit sizable big that can slot in and play alongside Victor at times. With Victor's ability to stretch the floor and knock down the three, but also can be a guy that can be your first backup, right? Because you look at the centers on this team right now, right? And really, you're looking at guys like Mamu, who he's 6'9", he's not really 6'10", right? Like he's more of like a power forward type guy than really a center. Or you're looking at Bassi, who's 6'10", right? Not really a true 7-footer. Or everyone's favorite, Zach Collins. And, that's a joke for those that didn't get it. But, there's an argument that kind of anybody would be better than Zach Collins. In all seriousness, I don't think Zach Collins is as bad as some people make him out to be. The idea of Zach Collins makes sense, but he hasn't looked great with the Spurs, where Koloko could potentially kind of give you what you want from Zach Collins, and is younger, would be cheaper, right? You could look to now move off of Zach Collins and Keldon Johnson and, maybe go make a big impact trade, and you have Koloko who you can kind of slot in a backup role, getting block shots, rebound and stuff. Still have Mamu and various other guys, Bassi, guys that can still kind of fill in and play that part. I know there's going to be some people in the comments that are like, hey, whatever you have to do to get off of Zach Collins, right? Anybody to play, every time I even just briefly mention Zach Collins, I get comments from people that are like, Zach Collins is trash. So again, I don't hate the idea of bringing in a Koloko. Like, I can see their interest. Gives them another big man that had a lot of promise, a lot of hope, and a lot of potential. And, with Victor, right, if you can find another big man that can slot alongside Victor at times, and again, back him up and be the primary backup, and you still maintain the rim protection and rebounding and some of the tools that Victor provides. Obviously, you're never going to replace Victor. The dude's never before seen. But it would be nice to, hey, Victor goes to the bench. You're not just a walking layup line at that point, right? You have a guy in a Koloko who can come in and actually protect the rim, block shots, help grab boards offensively and defensively. And there is concern, though, because Koloko, again, his first year with the Raptors showed some promise. Was clearly a development big, was clearly a guy that, hey, he's gonna need some work, but it was a guy that showed some real promise. And it was like, man, 2-3 years from now, this guy could be a legit starting level center in the league, right? Nice little versatility on him. Well, he missed last season due to blood clots. right? And that's a tough thing to deal with. We've seen that in people's careers. Now, obviously, if he's available to sign, then he's medically cleared, right? Like, so, but how much has he actually been able to work? How much has he actually been able to work out and prepare and do the things needed to ramp up and gear up for the upcoming season? He also is a little light, right? Got to kind of build and fill out and gain some weight and kind of fill out more of the man body, right? So again, it's not all rainbows and sunshine. Words are hard, but it's not all rainbow and sunshine with Koloko. But I do think for a team like the Spurs, right? You look at a team like the Lakers, who are the front runners to sign him. They have a need for a center, but they're also kind of in a win now spot compared to the Spurs. And so it's like, if you're Koloko, are you looking at it as like, okay, I can go with the Lakers, which one, the Lakers would have to pull off some type of trade or do something in order to make a deal work to sign Koloko, right? So if you're the Spurs, is your argument to Koloko is like, hey, yeah, you could go to the Lakers and sign on a training camp or a two-way deal, or the Lakers, could end up pulling off some trade to bring you on, but as soon as everyone's healthy and stuff, and they're probably going to trade for Valanciunas, and they're probably going to do and go get a more veteran center, you might get buried on the bench and might not even play this year. Come to us. We'll give you minutes alongside Victor. We'll give you minutes backing up Victor. Hell, we might even trade Zach Collins at some point this season if we can. Right? You might get a team like the Pelicans that are desperate and need a center badly and are like, fine, we'll just take Collins, right? It might be a good spot for the Spurs to be in. Again, I like Koloko. There are some questions. There are some pros and cons. But the Spurs, more than anybody really, are in a position to where they can be patient, right? And that's the key. They're a team that can take the risk and can take the flyer on Koloko, bring them in, low risk, high reward. Best case scenario, he's your backup center or maybe even your starting center alongside Victor at some point, right? Like, I've talked about like who's that guy slotted alongside Victor, right? Spurs are incredibly high on Sohan, but Sohan is really hit or miss at times. Like there's games and moments where he just looks fantastic, and then there's games where he just is unplayably bad, right? So do the Spurs reach a point where it's like, okay, Sohan's not really the best option? Also, I've talked about, do you really want Wemby, particularly in the Western Conference, banging with the big boys every night? Do you really want him having to match up against Jokic, 4 times a season, not counting playoffs? Now, the Grizzlies have Zach Edey. Do you really want Wemby banging with Zach Edey 4 times a season? Right? Like, you kind of go down this list, and it's like the West just has a lot of big centers that can just cause a lot of wear and tear and physicality on, Wemby. Do you really want that? Do at some point, because of his versatility, do you start him at the 4 and maybe bring in a guy, like I said, like a Koloko coming in? He's your starting center slotted with Wemby at the 4. That doesn't mean you can't play Wemby at the 5 ever. You could have Koloko and Wemby start as your starting front court. And then, when Koloko's getting rest, Wemby's at the 5, you're moving so on. Like, you can have that flexibility. And to have a guy in Koloko who can rebound, who can block shots, right? I think that could go a long way for the Spurs. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of bringing in Koloko? Do you think he makes a lot of sense? Gives you another big man, 3-and-D guy. Do you think, just stay the course? You're better off just waiting, being patient. He's not a guy that's going to solve or fix anything. He's not worth it. Too many questions, too many concerns. Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.